if it has gotten to the point where you're willing to argue, ha! Salutations to you. You are on another level of addiction. My people, welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time seeing my face, then salutations. My name is Priscilla, aka Prissy, aka Sissy, aka Ila, aka Silla, aka Miss Prissy Baby. And I make videos to help you smell good, look good, and feel good. So if that's something you're interested in, then please consider subscribing, like this video, and let's get right into the video of today. So in today's video, I'll be giving you a few telltale signs to know whether you're addicted to fragrances. Now, as much as I don't like to use that word addicted or addiction, because I think addiction to anything of any sort is bad.
Stop it. Get some help.
I just want you to take this a bit lightheartedly.
Okay.
Not too serious. I'm not here to diagnose you and tell you, oh, you've got a fragrance addiction. I'm just giving you telltale signs to let you know, or for you to check yourself and diagnose yourself to know if you're addicted to fragrances, or if you're a frag head, or if you're a big fan of fragrances. So if you want to know these telltale signs, traits of a fragrance addict, without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Oh yeah, eat me.
Now, the first telltale sign is blind buying. Yes, blind buying. Now, blind buying is where you buy fragrances without sampling them, without testing them, without trying them, without sniffing them, without sex.
Okay, so what did I not pronounce?
Without smelling them. A lot of us did blind buy fragrances over lockdown, and that's because obviously the obvious, nobody, or the stores were not open, so people were not able to go out there and try and sample out fragrances. So loads of people just relied on fragrance review videos and blind buying. Now, with blind buying, sometimes it's a success and sometimes it's a failure.
They shock you.
The good thing about blind buying is that it also helped introduce loads of us to fragrances, scents that we normally would never have tried. So when you blind buy a fragrance, sometimes you don't know what you're expecting, and then it arrives and suddenly it's something you absolutely love, which maybe on a normal day, if you had gone out to sample it because it would have been a quick sample, I don't like this, you never have, spent the time with that fragrance, and so you would never have owned that fragrance. So as much as blind buying could be a good way to buy fragrances, it could also be a very dangerous way, because, you put your heart out there, it gets broken, you get disappointed, there's the emotional disappointment that comes with blind buying.
My future, my hope.
And then there's the financial implications as well, where you buy a fragrance, you don't like it, and then you're either stuck with it, or you have to sell it or donate it. So yeah, anyways, one of those telltale signs to know that you are addicted to fragrances is that you blind buy, because you're willing to risk it all, Moving on. The next sign that you're addicted to fragrances is that you spend a lot of time watching fragrance YouTube channels. You follow loads of fragrance pages on Instagram, or you are even the curator, like you actually own a YouTube channel, or you have a fragrance page. I don't know of anybody who does that. Anyway, this one goes without saying that you're most likely addicted to fragrances. Another sign that you may be addicted to fragrances is that you've actually become a fragrance detective. Yes, a fragrance FBI.
You are under arrest.
Which means that when you walk past people or they walk past you, you're able to actually detect, and sometimes or most times correctly, what fragrance they are wearing.
You just said, you sabi all the book for the whole world.
Yes, because for you to be able to get to that point, it just means like you've spent a lot of time with fragrances, you've smelled a wide range of fragrances, and so it just comes as second nature to you, where somebody walks past you and you're like, is this what you've got on? And they're like, oh yes, or maybe they've layered it with something, or sometimes you may not even be able to guess the fragrance, but you're able to guess the notes. You're able to tell that, oh, that's a floral fragrance. I can smell some rose. I can pick up some chocolate. I can pick up, it makes it also sound very, posh and like a fragrance aficionado. Is that the correct pronunciation? Aficionado of some sort. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation, but we'll go with it.
No, you want to hear English.
So yeah, when you smell people, you can easily tell them like, oh, that smells animalic, you know, and you actually take it a step further and you start using words that you know people will not understand. So you start telling them, that kind of gives me a musky feel, and they're like, I've only just one perfume. Why are you telling me it smells musky or amber vanilla? People who are not that into fragrances do not care about that stuff. So if you've gotten to that point where you're like, you know, all that animalic, all those terminologies,
I have BSc, I have ST high.
and you can detect fragrances very easily, then you have become a fragrance addict. Like, I'm sorry to be the one to bear this news to you, but yes, you do love fragrances. You are actually a frag head. Another sign that you are addicted or you very much into your fragrances is you start to use words that do not exist to describe fragrances.
What?
This is one that I have actually noticed or picked up as I have watched more and more YouTube reviewers. I listen to YouTube reviewers and they use some words I'm like, even me, I'm guilty. I'm guilty, by the way. I am guilty, by the way.
People now know book like me, we don't argue.
And I say this lightheartedly because I know some people they're but yeah, like you start to use words that do not exist. I mean, the other day I was talking about naughty fragrances and I was like,
Oh, this smells very almondy.
I was like, almondy, that's not a word. Like, or woodier, or you know, people just use words to describe fragrance. I think when we don't even know, like when we don't know how to describe the fragrances anymore, we start using the notes. So if it's like there's mandarin orange, for example, a note of mandarin orange in the fragrance, you're like, oh, this smells very orangey. An orangier.
Shut up.
Or you know when we say citrus, that's correct though when you say citrusy. But what I'm trying to say is that it gets to the point where English words are no longer enough for you, or the words in the dictionary are no longer enough for you. You start creating your own words to describe fragrances because you're either too passionate or so passionate about them, or you're just a fragrance addict. Another sign that you're addicted to fragrances is that you run fragrance polls. Like, you actually put your fragrance decisions in the hands of others. And I am guilty of this as well. Like, you know, people go in people's comment sections on like YouTube videos or YouTube pages and they're like,
Oh, what do you think about this? Do you think I should buy this? Between this and this, which one do you think I should get?
like, for it to have gotten to the point where you're actually comfortable with putting your fragrance choices in the hands of others without necessarily sampling, then you must love fragrances a lot, because that's a big risk. That is a big risk because it might arrive and you won't like it. But for you to be able to put yourself out there like that, sometimes I think, because this happens to me, confession guys, you know, sometimes you want to buy a fragrance, but you don't want to buy the fragrance, and you're looking for people to just agree with you. So you put a poll out there so that people can agree with you to make you feel better about the purchase that you're about to make. You know, I think it's almost also linked to just maybe because you feel a bit guilty buying something, or I don't know what it is, but I think sometimes it's just because you want people to agree with you when you've already made up your mind about what you want to buy. Another sign that you are addicted to fragrances, and these ones, if you've gotten to this point, then you are on another level of addiction, is that you are a Fragrantica warrior. Now, Fragrantica is like the dictionary for perfumes. It's a website where, you know, there's so many contributors and writers who talk about fragrances, the notes, you know, and then people comment, like, you know, if you've bought the fragrance or you whatever, you're allowed, there's a whole comment section where you can, you know, share your thoughts. Now, I sometimes see comments on Fragrantica and I'm like, what? Like, some people even argue with each other. They'll be like, the comment down below, I don't know what that person is thinking. Then another person will be like,
The comments, two comments up, you know, above. I don't know what they're referring to. And
3 comments down below, I don't know what that person is saying. Like, they're arguing with each other, you know. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even understand that people are like, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around getting on Fragrantica, having an account, and even sharing my thoughts on there. I'd rather share them. I decide to share mine on YouTube, and people are free to share wherever they want to share. But it's even the argument, it's the fact that there are people who contribute on Fragrantica, and there are people who are actually warriors. Like, they are fighting about fragrances in those comment sections. If it has gotten to that point where you're that passionate and you're willing to argue about fragrances, I mean, I know fragrances are amazing and all, but there are bigger things to argue about in the world. But if it has gotten to the point where you are willing to argue, ha! Salutations to you. You are on another level of addiction. Finally, another telltale sign to know that you're addicted to fragrances is that it has actually gotten to the point where you're doing Maria Kondo style decluttering. Now, for you to declutter, you cannot declutter what you do not have or you do not own. I mean, for you to declutter, you have to have owned something to be able to get rid of it. So for you to have gotten to the point where you're decluttering, that means you own fragrances, you've sat down with them, you've spent time with them, you've thought about them, and you're like, you know what? Some of these need to go, because maybe you're building or trying to curate your perfume collection. But trust me, if you own only one fragrance, what are you decluttering? You can't declutter one. So for you to declutter, that means you have a few bottles, and I'm not going to put whatever that number is, but it means that you own a few bottles. So yeah, those are some of the telltale signs to know if you are a frag head, you are absolutely addicted to fragrances, or you love your fragrances, or you're passionate about fragrances. Yeah, go ahead and let me know in the comment section if there are any other telltale signs that I should have been including in this video. Also, go ahead and do all of that good stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. Guys, you need to like, share, and subscribe. And until I see you again, I look forward to seeing you again in my next full. Stay blessed and bye.